This week on the A to G podcast, Jen, the Star Wars nerd, joins us to talk Star Wars. We get controversial with comments from Don Cherry. The Lions suck, Matt Stafford is broken, and John Cena has a new movie. Yay.
Jacob's research is awful. Picking dodgeball players, I'm picking the kids that can throw the ball.
I just blew LeBron. I don't care what team.
Okay.
No, it's okay. They did a broadcast this morning. It had like one viewer. Good job, guys. That was me again.
Sure.
Did we ever see a cover of Eddie Murphy's Party All the Time? But this is the Lions we're talking about. So anything's possible. Kicker, long snapper.
Nobody else matters, right there.
No, not to me. Not to me. It's top five time.
Top five.
Today. Wow. Did you really say that Miss Congeniality is better than The Blind Side? I say she dressed like a hook. This is at a diner. You know, show some respect, show some class, and just don't be a bunch of dummies. See, I think there are other better gangster movies than Scarface. For God's sakes, look at your goddamn boots. For God's sakes, it's time to grow roots. Welcome, everyone, to the A to G podcast. We have a king-size show for you today. We have everything that you want to know.
And shit that you don't want to know.
And some things you don't want to know, but you're going to hear them anyway. We have sports, top five. Jake has a brand new garbage person of the week for us. But before all that, let's kick off. Let's take a little trip, Jake, to a galaxy far, far away. Jen, the Star Wars nerd or geek?
Nerd. I mean, you know, either is acceptable, but nerd.
We want to get that right.
Yeah, we want to get it right. You know, we have like royalty. We have Star Wars royalty on with us. Jen, the Star Wars nerd, joins us on the ADG podcast to discuss everything Star Wars related. But the reason why we have her on the show this week is that The Mandalorian is making its debut in, let's say, about another 6 to 8 hours on Disney Plus. And so Jen will break down everything that we have to look forward to this next chapter in the Star Wars universe. So Jen, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me so much.
Oh, pleasure. Pleasure's all ours. So tell us.
Welcome.
Yes. So tell us, for those who aren't as well known in the wrestling. Wow. Star Wars.
I like wrestling too. We can
Wrestling's good
that.
too. Well, I'm sure there's some wrestling in the Star Wars universe. That isn't experience in the Star Wars universe. What is the Mandalorian? What is it all about? What can people expect from it?
Well, this is actually pretty exciting. It's the first live action new Star Wars series. It's going to be all new characters. So a Mandalorian is basically just a person from Mandalore, from the planet of Mandalore. And a lot of people recognize the armor is similar to that of what Boba Fett wore in the original trilogy. So that right away got people super excited for this. John Favreau's behind it, which he's done a lot of the different superhero movies, so people are pretty confident that it's going to be a solid series. It takes place, I'm seeing different things, but it's all about 5 to 7 years after Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
So, and that's 20 plus years before the new trilogy picks up in The Force Awakens.
Right. So all of us who have seen Star Wars, we all have a soft spot for Boba Fett. He was always the badass of the Star Wars galaxy. Obviously, this takes place after when Boba Fett dies or allegedly dies in Return of the Jedi. We don't know.
He dies in the dumbest way for such a badass character. It just kills me. Such
exactly. So is this we're talking about another bounty hunter, is safe to say that is taking up the mantle of Boba Fett?
Yeah, so actually Mandalorians are a warrior people. Boba Fett actually wasn't even a Mandalorian. He's actually, obviously, he's a clone from Kamino, from the prequel trilogy. You kind of see his little origin story there. But the Mandalore people are warriors, and that's where he's kind of like a lone gunman kind of thing. Out on his own, bounty hunting, kind of in the ashes of what's left of when they defeat the Empire. So,
right. So with all that going on and everything that's going on in Disney, owning Star Wars and just making everything that they can possibly make with the Star
Oh,
Wars.
milking it.
They're milking it for the next couple decades easily. They have this coming out. Obviously, they have the theme park ride in Florida in
Yes.
Disneyland and everything, and with the final chapter of the Star Wars Skywalker saga coming to an
Yes.
end this December 20th. I believe it hits theaters. What can Star Wars fans expect from the final chapter of the Star Wars story?
So, The Rise of Skywalker is
Yes.
the episode 9. That's coming out December 20th. Also, preview December 19th. I already have my tickets for that.
Of course you do.
But it's kind of funny because people don't really know what to expect because they really haven't given us much of anything in the 3 trailers that have come out.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome is that we know that Emperor Palpatine is back.
Yes.
We don't know how or why. But I'm pretty excited for that. My mind was kind of blown when I saw the first trailer and you hear him with that laugh and you're like, oh my God, he's back.
He must have fell down that tube that Luke he slid into in Empire Strikes Back.
Exactly.
You know?
He's just been hanging out the whole time at the bottom
Exactly,
of Cloud City. Yeah.
Exactly. No, absolutely.
I have my theories on where we're going with it. And if you see the
Yes.
last trailer, it looks like Rey's running through the forest on Endor. There's some sort of ice planet. I think they're going in a direction. I think they're going to recall back to maybe the prequel where the Emperor is telling Anakin about his mentor and how he learned how to defy death. And that, so I'm thinking that the Emperor used the same sort of tactic that he learned from Darth Plagueis, and that's kind of how he came back. It's just a theory. I've seen it around, so I think a lot of people are kind of thinking along the same lines. I think you're going to see an end to the Sith Jedi. I think it's going to become some kind of like weird hybrid or nothing at all, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, with the name, the Rise of Skywalker, which is kind of confusing because everyone knows that, like, did Luke have a son or a daughter? Like, what's your speculation? Like, is Rey a real? Is Rey a Skywalker? Is there anything connecting those two more than just being friends?
I don't know. See, this is so hard. They could take it in so many different directions. I like to think that maybe what Kylo Ren said in the last movie, that her parents were just nobodies, is playing into the whole the Force isn't just exclusive to, the Skywalker bloodline. So, there's that theory that, yeah, her parents were just nobodies and she's just very strong with the Force. It could tie into another kind of fan fiction idea that Kylo Ren and Rey are actually really like twins that have been separated. There are so many different theories. I think J.J. Abrams, he's gonna bring this one home. I think it's gonna be tasteful. It's gonna be something unexpected.
Right.
I think it's gonna be, and I'm a little actually confused by the name because the Rise of Skywalker. The whole thing with Jedis are that they're not supposed to be proud, and so that kind of, I'm not sure if they're playing into the whole like it will be a redemption of the Skywalker name, but I'm really intrigued to see why it's called that.
I think it hit on something there. One of the theories I've been seeing around is them possibly being twins separated at birth. It would kind of make sense going with the storyline, right? But we reviewed the trailer a while ago, and I think we both really, really liked it. And it's definitely on our list to go and see as soon as it comes out. And you have tickets? I think I still have to buy mine.
Yeah. Oh, you better get on that. But, oh yes, the trailer was amazing. The last trailer, I was pretty excited. I don't think C-3PO dies, or however robots die. I think they're just leading us on.
But isn't that just like when they always put out a Star Wars trailer? They always give a little nugget to the original trilogy. Obviously, The Force Awakens, when they showed Han and Chewie, this is "we're home." That just made everyone just like, oh my God, this is gonna be the best movie ever. You know.
Oh, I was tearing up. I was so excited.
Exactly, right. You have to give them a little, just little like little dash of like excitement there. Obviously, you know, an original character like C-3PO, you know, does it for hundreds and thousands of Star Wars nerds like yourself. But but I want to know, like you said, you already have your ticket. Is this like a big thing? This is like one of the biggest days of the year that you look forward to, where you dress up in your favorite character, or is that
Is this a big thing?
Well, that's a stupid question. I know.
No, Darren, it's not.
No,
Just another movie.
I might go check it out.
Yeah,
You know her name.
I got
Come
a
on.
ticket. Might as well
Star
go
Wars nerd.
check it out. But like, are you one of those people that dress up and like really get into the spirit of it?
I have like the last one for the Last Jedi. I did my hair and like the Rey hair with the 3 buns, and my son is 7.
Yeah.
And he is right into Star Wars, so he has his, has to have his Star Wars gear on, and he was a Sith trooper for Halloween, so
of course, nice.
He'll probably wear that to the theater on opening night.
That's great. That's awesome. No, I asked because I have a cousin who is he made his own Chewbacca costume. And
oh my lord!
Oh yes, no, and it's legit. And he's also 6'9", so he can pull it off. Yeah. He's a dedicated Star Wars fan his whole life. I'm just curious to see, like, I know in the States, in Michigan, it's a huge thing. People really go all out for these Star Wars premieres. And it's
yes, I will be one of them.
Yeah, exactly, right. So it's great though, but like, you know how before, you know, Disney bought Star Wars, and they would put out a movie every, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and then there was a long gap between Return of the Jedi, then the prequel movies. But now when Star Wars fan can expect at least a Star Wars movie every year, does that make you like? Is it like obviously over Star Wars, or just not enough? And now they have their own TV shows and movies. Could it ever be to the point where it's just too much and oversaturated?
I think Disney has finally realized that, when Solo just bombed at the box office, and to be honest, it was a pretty cruddy movie.
Yeah,
I did not enjoy it. And I love Star Wars, right? I think they finally scaled it back. They were supposed to have the Obi-Wan movie. Now they've turned that back into, it's going to be the TV series with Ewan McGregor, also on Disney Plus. So that's going to be awesome. And I think they've kind of dialed it back a little bit. While still, satisfying us nerds. But it's got to be good. It's quality over quantity, right? I'd rather have one good Star Wars movie every 4 years versus, crap being put every year or every other year.
Right. And there's a lot of expectations, obviously, with this, the Rise of Skywalker is ending this chapter of the Star Wars saga, and then continuing on, obviously, probably with Rey and Finn and all of these other characters that they're bringing along. Do you feel that they're going to take a step back once this main story is completed?
They are. From everything I've heard, they were originally ordering up another trilogy that was going to be all new.
Yes.
Nothing to do with the Skywalkers. And it was supposed to be directed by and written by the Game of Thrones guys.
Yes.
But that actually just got dropped. So I'm not sure exactly what's happening. I know there were some other kind of projects in development. I believe Rian Johnson's project also got dumped because people were so pissed off at him after The Last Jedi.
It was bad.
It was, you know what? When I saw the throne room scene, and I thought, okay, it's finally going to turn around. And I was so in for it. And then I'm like, what in the hell is this?
Yeah. Well, me and Jake obviously aren't as big a Star Wars nerd as you are, but you have some questions to test our Star Wars knowledge. I believe that's correct. So Jake, I hope you're ready to lose pretty bad.
Oh, I already lost. Let's do it.
Just a couple actually, and it's really interesting. Any fellow nerds out there, Mac Flash Trivia, they do trivia all around Windsor. They're actually going to be doing a Star Wars trivia at the end of December at Lakeshore Cinema.
Oh, nice.
So I'm super excited for that. So I thought I'd kind of build up the excitement with a few quick questions for you guys.
Okay.
Now, first question is, who is the actor who is returning as Lando Calrissian in The Rise of Skywalker?
It's Billy D. Williams.
Yes.
the
Okay,
legend.
so you guys know
Wow,
some.
nice.
Okay.
Mr. Colt 45.
Okay, that was a good warm up.
I know that was an easy one, but let's. Like, I'm sure you could really just make us scratch our heads. With some...
Okay, which two characters have appeared in every Star Wars movie, episode 1 through 9?
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Is this a main character?
Yeah, two characters
Two of them. Okay.
have appeared in every Star Wars movie.
Okay, I have
1 through 9.
Let me see other ones.
Boy.
Hmm.
Is I want to say R2D2?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Princess Leia?
And no,
No.
not Princess Leia. Because you got to think of the prequels, right?
No, that's
Yep.
right, yeah.
Yeah, no one likes to think of the prequels. It's okay.
I know. Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader.
No.
What?
Ooh, damn, that's good.
He was
He was not in all of them, though. He was not.
Well, he was Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's right.
He's
Don't
not.
argue with the nerd.
He's not in the latest trilogy. His helmet is.
Oh.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
See,
right,
you
yeah.
don't mess with Jen.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's right.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So
Well, I got one there, Jake. So
Yeah,
you need
so
to step it up.
C-3PO is the other one.
I was thinking
3PO,
about that
really?
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yoda was gonna be my next guest, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm awful.
Well, I mean, 1 out of 2 is not bad. Now, here's a trick question: who shot first, Greedo or Han Solo?
Now, there's many theories about this. Obviously, with it depends on where you go online. They all have their different theories and reasons.
There's one right theory.
There is one right theory.
Well, let's settle it. Let's get Jen to settle it right now on the AG podcast.
I'm gonna say Han shot first.
Yes.
There we go.
Absolutely, it was Han. So it's actually kind of a joke, is that when George Lucas went back and wrecked all of them by extending them and adding in the additional scenes, what he did was add in, it didn't even make sense that Greedo shot him first for no reason. So he switched it around, and it's doesn't really make sense. So technically, in the first film, he shot first in the original version of it.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
See, so there you go. Next time you're at a dinner party or with the holiday parties coming up, there you go. That's an instant conversation starter, right there.
Yep.
You get people's thought on that. So Jen, thanks for coming on the show. We'll be talking to you as we get closer to the Star Wars. The Rise of Skywalker hits
Absolutely.
theaters. We expect you to come on and give us your review of the film, because I'm sure no one else can probably give a better review than you can, knowing all your knowledge. Where can people find you if they want to send you a question or ask any Star Wars related questions?
Well, I'm on Instagram as @StarWarsJen, and I also have a Facebook page, Jen the Star Wars Nerd.
There you go. So there you go, folks. It's Star Wars, Jen the Star Wars Nerd on the ADG podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Take care, guys. Thanks.
Take it easy.
All right, Darren, let's get into sports.
Sports. Oh, where to begin? So many items, so little time. But let's start with Jacob's favorite team and my favorite nightmare, the Detroit Lions.
Garbage.
Fired.
Garbage. I love it. So obviously the Lions, their only saving grace this year was Matthew Stafford. Well, that's out the window now because he didn't play Sunday against the Bears because he has not one but multiple broken bones in his back and his hip.
Always healthy, very healthy. Good job.
You know, and we can't blame him. He's been carrying this team on his back pretty much the whole season, and pretty much since he's been here as a quarterback. But Jake, is the season done? Easy answer, yes. But
yes.
if it is the season done, do we sit Matthew Stafford for the rest of the year and just
completely
go into full
hell
tank mode?
Completely. Got to get these guys him out. You really do.
Now,
you can't have him on the field.
Now, you know what? I don't think it's going to happen because Matthew Stafford is such a competitor, and and he doesn't want to let his team down. But like, if it is something like this where the coach's decision, I don't know if this will be a Quinn and Patricia decision to sit him down for the rest of the year. If that happens, you think anyone's going to show up and watch this team? Hell no. You think people are going to pay money to watch Jeff fucking Driscoll at quarterback?
He wasn't that awful. Come on.
Jake,
but okay,
Jake,
no. If we had watch the game. If we had a defense, he would have squeezed out a win there. If we had a shred of defense, let's put Matthew Stafford on a hold here for a second. If this team had a shred of defense, you had who? Mitchell Trubisky.
Exactly.
Throw on this defense all day.
And we
3 touchdowns.
We made him look like a fucking all-pro.
Right.
We
so
made him look like a Pro Bowl.
If we had a defense that was at least, I don't know, half decent, we would have won that game with a monkey at fucking quarterback. So it doesn't matter who we have there. If the team doesn't play like it's supposed to, whatever. Stafford was and is a special player for the Detroit Lions. And him being out, you know what? Tank mode. Save him. Keep him out. Let him heal till next season. But that is a serious thing. $30 million a year for this guy.
Yeah.
So
it pretty much comes down to, and it really shows what Quinn didn't do during the offseason, and that was address a backup quarterback situation where he has to keep in mind that if Stafford keeps getting hit as much as he gets hit, by other defenses, he's going to get hurt. He's going to get injured. Before this injury, he started 136 games in a row consecutively.
Six longest streak in the NFL.
Exactly. But you've seen it this year with all these starting quarterbacks going out either through injury or not performing. So you have to keep this in mind. And when he could have gone and got Brian Hoyer, who was a free agent, and he was a former New England Patriot, and we know how much Lions love New England Patriots.
The Patriot way, yeah.
Why couldn't we pick him up?
Because we're stupid. This team sucks.
We just don't think.
Sorry.
The Lions just don't think clearly. And obviously, when your whole season relies on this one guy, and if this guy's not at 100%, and now he's not going to be at 100% for the rest of the season.
No way.
Is it worth putting him out there every Sunday?
Now, for ticket sales and short term, they might do it. In the long term, if this team was thinking next season as a bounce back season, I would not do it. No. I would not. There's no way. No. I'm not putting $30 million quarterback out there to win a game and to lose draft positioning. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
I'd play nobody.
Exactly.
I'd tank the shit out of it.
You look at it. Obviously, they're at home this week against the Dallas Cowboys.
And they smoked.
Who lost?
Zeke Elliott, new record.
Watch
200 yards on the ground.
No doubt. So they're gonna have their hands full, and and we know Stafford. We know he's a competitive guy. He wants to be out there. He wants to, be there for his teammates. And I respect that. When someone goes out there and wants to put the whole team on his back, but when that back is broken, the team suffers. So
you gotta put yourself at risk for a career-ending injury, and then everybody's screwed.
Exactly.
No way.
Lions now last in their division
Good, stay there.
at 3-5-1. So now I don't know exactly what's going to happen now. These next 2 or 3 weeks will really tell a lot. And listen,
Yeah.
if they lose, this week against Dallas, and then Thanksgiving, if Stafford is still the quarterback, after that Thanksgiving, because you're on national TV on Thanksgiving, you want to put on a good show. But if that happens and let's say they get bombed on national TV like they did last year,
They will.
I would just sit them for the rest of the season. It's not worth
It's over.
it, and then maybe, we draft a quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round, that like we should have done this past NFL draft.
Well, no, listen. If they tank the rest of the season with 3 wins, they'll be in the top 5 draft, right? So the quarterback class is huge. First pick in the first round for them, whatever it is, 3 to 5 or even higher, maybe if they're really shit. If they don't win the rest of the season, yeah, QB.
Really?
Yep.
You take a QB, so someone obviously probably not someone like, because he'll probably be the number 1 pick overall, like Tua.
Tua probably go first.
From Alabama, but the quarterback from LSU played phenomenal. Joe Burrows against Alabama. Great quarterback,
Now, if you look at it from this point of view, how many times do we have to invest in a quarterback in the later rounds and they never work out?
Exactly.
So let's just go for it.
I think the last quarterback that we took in like the middle rounds and everyone thought he was going to be great was that Michigan alum Jake Rudock. Was going to be he was recommended by Jesus Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And how that pan out?
No,
not too good.
I don't think so.
And then you see other quarterbacks in the league just get drafted in the middle to late rounds, be backups for a few years. Perfect example, Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco, 8-0. San Fran's looking pretty good.
Yeah, but that's really rare. Really rare to get a quarterback in the late rounds and then be good. Super rare.
Well, there was a guy that got drafted 199th overall from Michigan.
Okay, yeah, him and what's his name? Russell Wilson. Okay, that is rare gold.
Exactly.
That shit never gonna happen again.
It happens a lot more than you think. Everyone thinks. You look at the quarterbacks that are performing now, or not even first round, but like late first round, like early second round. Lamar Jackson yesterday was unbelievable.
But they have no choice because you don't have anybody else. So that's kind of that's what they have to do.
Exactly.
You want a job.
Exactly. You need a quarterback that can run and throw and sell hot dogs and do everything on this team. Obviously, but
throw shirts into the stands.
Exactly.
Fifth stands. Never mind.
That's exactly. But if anything, let's say they do tank, Jake, and they get a top 5 pick.
Yep.
I think it's more important to get a big, nasty defensive player on that team.
I would usually agree with you every other year, but looking at Matthew Stafford the last 2 years with back problems, Peyton Manning comes to mind. What's his name from Indy?
Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck comes to mind. Like they're not that lingers, man. And we need at least 1 year for him to develop under Stafford. So let Stafford rest. Draft a high-class QB, like you just mentioned, LSU. Right?
Yep.
We might be number 3 in the draft. He will be.
Let's not get too excited, but
I'm tingling up my leg.
Man.
Damn.
If this team doesn't win another game this year, that would be truly disappointing for especially the caliber of the teams that they have yet to play. They got to play Miami. They got to play Washington. If you can't beat Miami and Washington, that's just sad. I understand that we have the worst defense in the league, but come on,
Darren, we're friends, but we're gonna have really long podcasts after those games.
You know what? If it gets to the point, I'm going to tell you this: if they lose the next 2 games, Jake, I'm giving them to Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh.
And if they haven't won those 2 games, or show that they can seriously continue, I'm not watching any more Lions game for the
Okay.
rest of the season.
They're losing this weekend. They're losing this weekend.
Well,
They're losing by 20 this weekend.
they're not going to lose by 20, Jay.
Okay.
Come on.
This is official. Watch. Okay, that's fine. 20.
Okay.
And I hate the Cowboys. I hate them.
Yeah.
But they're gonna lose by 20. Remember, you have no defense, and they have one of the best running backs in the league. So, and they don't stop the run.
We have no defense, and we have a quarterback with a broken back. Awesome.
There you go.
That's
so.
awesome.
Yeah, and who do they play for?
The Bears.
What's it called?
The Bears coming in for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Mitchell Trubisky, baby.
we might make him look like a superstar twice. Now they know the formula.
2-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, at Ford Field.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
just
we'll see what
it's
happens.
tough. You know what? It's really tough to watch week after week. Where I find myself that I don't know if you ever heard of this thing called the Red Zone channel, and it bounces around the other games. No, yeah, the Autobox, and they bounce around from game to game. I love watching that more than watching a Lions game because they're just gonna make me angry.
You never see the Lions game because
and you never see them. No, the only time you see it is that when the other team scores on them.
Yep.
They're like, oh, that's
it's the Lions, and they're done.
there they go.
Field
So
goal.
yeah, but little sad news to pass on is former second overall pick of the Detroit Lions, Charles Rogers, passed away at the age of 36 from cancer. So our condolences to his family and friends on the passing of one of the more talented wide receivers in Detroit Lions history.
Or MSU, actually, yeah.
And MSU, especially MSU. He was, he came into the league with very high expectations. Obviously, it didn't pan out the way fans and how he wanted to, how his professional career didn't work out. I know he had some off the field issues, but it's just a shame to see. It's a shame to see a talented young man like that pass away at such a young age.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so let's transition from that. Give the Lions a little rest for the week. Did you know the Wings are on a 2-game run here? They actually won 2 games in a row.
Yes, good for them. I believe that's called a winning streak in Detroit, which
sad, but yes.
Detroit sports teams haven't had that many successful runs yet.
No.
They knocked off the Vegas Golden Knights 3-2. Anthony Mantha scoring with 30 seconds left in the game, so good for them. It's nice as long as they can be competitive this year.
I'm okay with it. Still rebuilding hard, in the middle of the rebuild, so really deep into it.
After a 4-game winning streak, my Leafs dropped 2 games in a row this weekend on a back-to-back, and more bad injury news for them. Mitch Marner, one of their studs, their $11 million a year man, is out for a month with a high knee sprain. So it's going to be tough sledding in the next month for the Leafs. Hopefully we can be competitive around the Christmas break. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, lots of hockey to go.
Lots of hockey. Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that one of Jake's favorite, and I mean he loves this guy.
Here we go. I think we're going to talk about the same thing.
is back for your Detroit Pistons. Blake
Hell yeah!
Griffins
First night back.
Is back tonight. He's playing. I believe they're playing the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yes, they are.
So
at the LCA, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. Big Bad Blake is back in the lineup for your Pistons. So him, D Rose, Andre. It's gonna be and the white boy Luke Kennard is gonna be shooting those threes.
Yeah, I was just gonna actually say that Blake's back, but does it make a difference if he can stay healthy?
It gives them
mediocre.
It gives them another option.
Yeah, this team should be selling left and right, at the deadline this year.
Exactly.
Left
So
and right.
yeah,
So the whole team, I don't care.
so exactly that's going on, and well
Yeah.
well, this is a big football week in the state of Michigan. It's a big
Okay.
game, Jake. My Michigan State Spartan against your Michigan Wolverines, and if Michigan doesn't beat the Spartans by at least 25 points, that's bad.
I agree. This is a game
Especially
that
especially after Michigan State blew a 28-3 lead to the Fighting Illini
and
of
you're still
Illinois.
surprised. And you're surprised.
and former Michigan quarterback what was his name, Peters,
Yeah.
Brandon Peters
Right.
was quarterback for Illinois, and wow, so
Yeah.
it,
I wasn't gonna say anything, but you brought it up, so.
no, I'll bring it up because I've seen it. Obviously, if you're from this area, the whole issue with big brother, little brother, or
Little sister, what I heard
little
today.
sister. Now it's called. I guess
that's
I
interesting.
didn't know Michigan State was known as little sister.
Why do they do that? That's just so
Because
stupid.
they like to stir the pot. Yeah, obviously
Yeah,
you guys
but
have
why?
the better record. Obviously, the Spartans
this
are
year.
in a downward spiral. Their coach will soon be fired at the end of the season. So obviously they're on two different paths. Obviously,
Yes, but still, you never take this team lightly because
no.
how many times in the last 5 years have Michigan State come in and smashed us in the face? Come on.
Yeah.
You don't do that shit.
I believe it was 7 out of the last 8 years.
There you go. See? So
go.
why even say dumb shit? Why? This isn't basketball.
Come on, Jake. I like it when you trash talk. It's fun.
Oh, I'm not trash talking. I'm a realist. Like,
I'm a realist.
we're talking shit. Why are you talking shit? Have you won anything? No.
Because-
Then shut the fuck up. Like, when's the last? You're not even gonna make the playoff. You're not even gonna make the Big Ten championship game. So why?
Yeah.
Why trash talk a team that's shit this year too? Like, why?
Exactly.
No, go win something. Win something, and then we'll be ready.
I'm sure they can go to the Tommy Bahama Peach Bowl or something like that.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, Tostitos Chips Bowl.
The Poinsettia Bowl.
There you go. Bunch of nonsense.
Well, at least
Play Florida again and get destroyed. Okay, next.
At least it'll go to a bowl. I think if anything, the Spartans could play in the Little Caesars Bowl.
In Ford Field?
Yeah, Ford Field. It'd be a home game for them.
Versus a MAC team?
Yeah. Take on Buffalo or I don't know.
Oh, God, yeah, that could happen.
Geez, that might be
All
something.
right. That's sports.
Great.
So,
So
you know what? I think it's time for us to get a little controversial on the ADG
Yes,
podcast. What everybody's waiting for this topic today.
let's dive into it. If you haven't been around social media or been in front of the TV or radio, Canadian icon, I guess that's safe to say, Don Cherry was released or fired, depends on where you read it, from Rogers Sportsnet for his controversial comments this past Saturday night during the first intermission of the Leafs and Flyers game on his signature segment, Coach's Corner. And just if you're unaware of what Don said, his comments, this is what really started the fire.
You got the whole quote?
Well, I got the majority of the quote.
I got the whole quote.
Where he says, "You people lost our way. You people love our way of life. You love our milk and honey. At least you could pay a couple of bucks for poppies or something like that. These guys paid for your way of life that you enjoy in Canada." Now, Don is 85 years old. Don, he says this isn't the first time where he has said something where people don't agree with. Usually it's more hockey related, but this one, now that we are recording our episode on Remembrance Day, and we remember those who have fought for our freedom, And
That's right.
we love and we respect our troops, our men and women who give the ultimate sacrifice for so that we can live in a free country where we can do this podcast every week
And say whatever we want.
and say whatever we want, but I totally agree with Don. Some people may not like that, but do I think he could have said it in a better way? Yes. I think that his his whole life on Coach's Corner has been on a 7-second delay. You got to understand that,
That's true. That's true.
And so when he says something like that, you have to kind of understand where he's coming from. He's coming from an old school mentality of way of thinking, and he is a big supporter of the troops. You see it all every year when he tries to visit as many vets as possible, and for him to go down like this, he's going down swinging. He's the troops was the one hill that he was willing to die for, to lay down on. So a lot of people are going to be upset. Obviously, Rogers Television, who own Hockey Night in Canada, got flooded with all these complaints from people, and them as a business, as one of the largest telecommunications company in the country, they had to say something. Obviously, that they put out apology for those who were offended by Don's comment, and Grapes's Don Cherry's co-host Ron McClain also put out a statement last night on TV that he doesn't support what Don says. He apologized, but the hammer has come down, and there's going to be no more Coach's Corner, at least for now, on Saturday nights, which is a shame because it really is an institution of Canadian way of life. Everyone may not agree with what Don Cherry says, but they'll always will tune in to see what he has to say. And I went on social media and I grabbed some comments from good friends of mine and people who that wanted to voice their opinion. And I have some of the comments here. This is from Mike from Facebook, and he writes in, food for thought. Don Cherry has been on a second broadcast delay since 2004, as I mentioned. Yeah, Grapes has had some controversy in his broadcast history, but what you saw and heard on Saturday wasn't meant to be seen and heard. Let that sink in on Remembrance Day, when we should be thinking about our troops and veterans. The country's biggest sports network chose to disrespect their memory and service to all those by using today to make this polarizing announcement. Today of all days, that's it. Today of all days, this is what we are focused on. It's not. It's for that reason that I'll be boycotting the network, not because of Grape's dismissal. What a shame and disgrace to those who pay the ultimate price, so I can sit on my ass on Saturday night with my son, a beer, and a hockey game on television. We can't even respect such a sacred day enough to do damage control on December 12th.
Wow,
And
cool.
yeah, exactly. And another friend of mine, Bart, he chimed in on Facebook where it says, to the people calling for Don Cherry's to resign, give your head a shake. There's nothing out of line with his comments regarding the wearing of poppies. As an immigrant, my family and I fully embrace Canadian culture and worked hard to assimilate ourselves into this great society. I wear poppy with immense pride, knowing all that it stands for, and I am beyond grateful for the men and women who gave their lives fighting for this great land. I couldn't agree more with everybody, especially immigrants should be wearing a poppy with pride. So that, a lot of people have their thoughts and their opinions on this. Obviously, here at the ADG podcast, we're giving our thoughts and our opinions on this as well. Obviously, I stand with Don, and I'm sure Jake has has a lot to say on that
Oh
on this issue.
boy. Yeah, I've been sitting quietly because I'm enjoying everything you're saying for a couple of reasons. Doesn't mean I agree with everything you're saying,
No,
but that's why
no,
we're here.
no, that's
But
fine.
but this is nice. Everybody's chiming in on this. And okay, let's start from the beginning. For those who don't know anything, Jacob wasn't born here. If you can tell from my name, all right. This sumbitch here came here legally.
That's
Let's
right.
get that out. Let's get that off the
Yeah.
bat.
Yes,
All right.
this
No,
is fantastic. You coming from another country here.
and I didn't run across the border either. I actually applied to get here. So,
There you go.
woo! I'm
He
not a runner.
chose-
If
he
you ever
chose
see me
to
play
come here.
sports, not a runner.
He chose to come here.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So let's be honest here.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna agree with you. I'm gonna totally agree with you.
Okay.
Because we live in a society of sensitive people nowadays, and it's not the majority of people, it's the small minority of very vocal people that are oversensitive. There's nothing wrong with what he said at all. There isn't. It's something that most people in their heads say anyway. Okay, now he's just stating, okay, what he thinks. It's his opinion. And you know what? Because of today, you're allowed to have those free opinions. Okay? You go to different countries around the world, you're not allowed to say your opinion at all. And you think you can go into Cuba and say anything you feel like? No, I don't think so. Iran? No, I don't think so. Saudi Arabia? No, you can't even wear a tank top there, people. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of other countries. Turkey? No, not really. That's Hitler sympathizer in that country. So really, you should be happy you're still allowed to say things like this in our country. You should be happy you're allowed to say whatever you want without threatening people in this country. You should have an opinion. You're allowed to have an opinion. Yeah, we should be looking at media like Facebook, like Rogers Communications, at censoring people and their opinions. Letting him go or mutual separation or him stepping down, yeah, well, you just let somebody go for an opinion. Don't you guys have a news company there related to you? CBC's praising this. I see a lot of newspapers praising this. You should look at this as an attack on free speech, if anything. So now people gotta be afraid to say anything they want during their jobs and stay with the work narrative instead of expressing themselves just because they're afraid to get fired. Fuck that. And that's not the world this should be. This is exactly the opposite of what he's saying here. You should respect what you have.
Right.
That's all this is. So there you go.
It's really, and it's really shameful that like like me, when it usually comes around like November, like November 1st or 2nd, I don't see too many veterans, selling the poppies as much as I used to. I used to see them all the time, out there with their bucket, selling a poppy. I usually make my donation to the Legion at Tim Hortons, just like majority of people these days when they get their poppy. But like I was out there, I was downtown a couple days ago, and I didn't see not one person wearing one. Like young people and old people, no one. It really loses the fact that you see it today because today is Remembrance Day, November
Yes.
11th.
It was
But
everywhere
like,
at work today. Yep.
but like the only time I've seen it like is either people on TV on Canadian TV channels, doing news. They have to wear one, which I understand. But like, regular people that I see out and about, nope. And it's really disrespectful for those who really sacrifice everything that they had just so people like you and me, you coming from another country, me, my grandparents who came over from Italy with nothing,
Right. Yep.
so
Exactly.
and they adapted to the Canadian way of life
That's right.
when they got here, which is at least that they can do. You coming over from countries where you had no freedoms, you had no rights or anything, to a place where hey, you want to do your own religious thing? That's fine. Go. You want your freedom of speech? Sure. You know, at least you can, give some acknowledgement to what to what the country of Canada has done for the world.
Right,
You
right.
know.
Now, Darren, what do you think of this? Do you think they were expecting such a backlash? Because yeah, they said they had a lot of complaints. Well, as personally, I'm not a big fan of Don Cherry. One, I don't like hockey as much as I like
Yeah.
other sports.
Yeah.
Two,
Yeah.
yeah, I find him annoying because just I really don't care. Yeah, he whatever hockey, but for the things he has to say, especially like this, do you think this is going to kind of backfire to where whoever hires him next is going to get a huge
No.
following? And why do
No.
I say that? Because looking at the comments, you would think in some of these news sites that they actually shut down the comments section because instead of them thinking it's gonna be like, yeah, fuck Don Cherry, everybody is like, what the fuck you doing? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Just one more comment that
Yeah.
our good friend of the show, Mike Evans, wrote in, and he says, "It is sad that Mr. Cherry's storied career as a hockey analyst has to come down to an abrupt end this way. Unfortunately, using the term 'you people' was a very poor choice, and it has come to denote racism and white privilege in our popular culture. A fact that Mr. Sherry may not even be aware of, but nonetheless must be held responsible for it. Today, I've been reminded that the soldiers who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our Canadian way of life came from many diverse backgrounds and ethnicities. I wear a poppy to remember all of them. I wear a poppy to remember all of them. An important thing to remember is that wearing a poppy is done out of remembrance and honor to our fallen. It isn't something that we should critique others for not doing. It is a personal choice for each individual Canadian. So there you go.
Now, well, see, I have to address that a little bit because there was some fallacies, and then I understand his last point, which is very valid. We all have a choice. That's why we're here. Now, except the first part, I'm really not enjoying that privilege comment. I find that distracting and not necessary. So we're gonna have to I'm gonna have to really disagree with that. There's no privilege with skin color, and I will fight anybody on that. And
Right.
again, we don't get political on this show. We're not gonna get into that. But if that's how you're gonna start your comment with, it's just makes everything else invalid. So please refrain from making that an issue.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we don't we don't judge anybody that writes in these comments.
Right.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion,
Exactly.
and that's the way it is. We appreciate all those comments from social media about this very important issue, and it's an issue that goes beyond sports. But obviously, I heard someone talking today about the whole Don Cherry thing. Him being 85. He's kind of like the grandpa at the party that kind of loses his filter a little bit, and you just kind of have to like, oh, grandpa, grandpa's off in the
Right.
mess again. But
Yeah, the only problem with that, and you're right, but the only problem with that is that's the knowledge that this new generation is losing,
yeah,
and they forget why we do certain things, and we've lost a lot of that. So
exactly. And you said it earlier in your when you were discussing this about how a lot of people get so offended easily, and I believe your garbage person of the week that's coming up later ties into that.
of course it does. I can't wait.
Yes, so that'll be good. So obviously, yeah, it's the biggest news story in Canada right now. Everyone is talking about it. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Obviously, if I was Rogers, I would not fire him. I would give him like a chance to, you know, go on the air and discuss, give his side of the story of why he said it, and give him a chance to apologize. Obviously, he had a chance to apologize. He chose not to apologize, and I think that was the, the the straw that broke the camel's back. Like I think he would have saved his job being on TV if he would apologize. But
See,
He does
You're-
everything
you're-
his
yeah.
own way.
You're right. And see, we agree on this, but we're going to disagree on the last point. Like, we agree on this whole thing. But the last point, you know what? If he doesn't want to apologize, he doesn't have to. I think
Yep.
he knows he's going to get picked up somewhere else.
You know
And
what?
it's gonna be a big deal. And
But Jake, I don't see, or maybe he doesn't want to be on TV anymore.
True, maybe not.
He's been doing this for over 30 years.
that's right.
You know, and obviously, say what you want, but like I think Hockey Night in Canada is going to take a major hit now.
Yes.
But like, obviously, people will still tune in to watch the games, but like intermission, halftime, no, they're going to take a huge dip there because everyone wanted to see what's Don going to say,
Yep.
what's Don wearing,
Yeah,
Oh,
and you know
but-
what's gonna hit? The advertising is gonna take a hit.
Advertisers.
That revenue.
Budweiser was a huge sponsor for the Coach's Corner. Obviously, they have to think business first, and what's
People are not watching. We don't want to advertise.
is this going to hurt our brand, and like really, I would love to see young people ask a young person, do you agree with Don Cherry's comments? I'm
Well,
curious to see what they would say.
Yeah, me too. And my news feed has really blew up with this, especially with all my friends that like hockey, which most of them do except me. It's funny, but yeah, no, it's. I thought I'd be surprised about this, and I thought we would disagree a lot. But you know what? Pretty much everybody's towing the line because I think once that line hits a personal note, like respect for where you're from and what you do, I think everybody will toe that line for a good reason. So there we go. That's controversial as we're gonna get today. I think maybe.
Yes. Maybe we go something a little bit more lighthearted.
Maybe. All right. So just to segue to something a little more inspirational, I have special music for us this week.
Oh, good.
Now, again, I'll change the mood of the show right now. We're going to pick it up a notch. We're going to perk everybody's ears up with some excellent music. And I have an awesome progressive alternative rock group named SLUKA, SLUKA. And these guys have releasing their second single. It's called Hey-O. And their full-length album is coming up soon. And this is not your regular band. This band's lead singer is Christopher SLUKA. He's a singer, songwriter, musician, performer. He was born in Seattle, and he is extremely, extremely in the biz. He brings a positive message for polarized times, like "Hey-O." And this is what we are right now, polarized times. Much like his previously released title track, ready to, off of their new album, Ready to Connect. It encourages shredding of personal and collective trauma, perhaps a dance, perhaps conversation. This is what we do. And most definitely alive and full of wonder. It's inspirational music. It really is. And we're going to share the video on our Facebook page because this is a pretty cool song. And this is a nicely put together track, and there's a video to it. It's called Hey-O, and it's going to be played right now on the AG Podcast.
In a ditch of insecurity, we harbor all our energies for sure. Oh, fighting off our appetites and thankful we're here still alive. Oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, 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 In a theft, a brazen robbery of individuality we know. Oh, picking up our self-respect and celebrate our resurrection. Oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, hey, oh, hey,
All right, so that was SLUKA, Heyo. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Inspirational music, kind of rockish, more than progressive alternative rock they call it, but it brings some 80s sounds for me. That's all I'm saying. But loved it, great song. Something inspirational for to add to our podcast this week because we're all over the place, mired in controversy. So there you go. I think we should hit up a top 5 today, Darren.
Yes, top 5, and because today is Remembrance Day, and we were talking about it earlier, how great our men and women are to protect us. I decided to pick the top 5 best war genre movies.
Ooh, damn. Okay, now we're gonna have a battle. You think the other thing was controversial? I'm all about war movies.
There you go. So
Let's do this.
So
I
this
will
one,
fight you.
wow, this is my independent top 5. So
Right.
no need to get mad at any sites that
Send them bad emails at adgpodcast@gmail.com.
all your threatening, nasty emails can be sent to me. So coming in at number 5 is one of my movies that I really enjoyed watching is Zero Dark 30.
Okay, that's the Bin Laden movie.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Jessica Chastain, I believe.
Yep.
It was really good. Number 4 is a film back in 2008 directed by Catherine Bigelow, The Hurt Locker.
Okay, I've not seen that one yet, but okay.
It's really well done. She won the Oscar for Best Director for that movie, so really interesting.
Okay.
Number 3
Mm-hmm.
we have is a 2001 film, Black Hawk Down.
Ooh, yeah, good one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Black Hawk Down had a great cast: Josh Hartnett, Eric Bana, Ewan McGregor, Tom Hardy, Orlando Bloom.
It was intense.
Yes. Number 2, there was a lot of good movies that it was really tough. It was really tough to pick. But number 2 for me personally was Fury. That came out.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was pretty. I like what they did with the tanks. That was
exactly.
pretty cool.
Brad Pitt was phenomenal in it.
Mm-hmm.
Great. It was really great. And number 1, I think it's safe to say, like, one of the all-time best war movie ever. Like, really captured the spirit of what war is real like, is Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that.
So it's just a great movie all around. It's just how real they got. Even real veterans who were there, during that war. He said, like, yep, that's exactly how it was. So there's your top 5 for this.
Nice. I have some mentions to that because you didn't mention a couple, and there's one TV show and 2 movies that I liked. Act of Valor is one of mine.
Yep, that's great. Yes.
Benghazi would be the other one. I like that one. And this is not a movie, but it's a series. It's an HBO show, which is, I have the steel metal box case for this beauty. It's called Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
And I watch that once a year. So it's a 12-episode series. Great show. Amazing acting. It was one of the most expensive shows on HBO ever made way back when. An insane cast. If you ever get a chance to see that, insane cast. So there you go. I love that list. That was great.
Yep.
So, Saren,
Yep.
we know what today is, but what else happened this week in history?
Well, today in this history, obviously, it being November 11th, back in 1918, World War I, signed by the Allies in Germany, comes into effect. World War I hostiles end at 11 a.m., the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. But other than that, back in film on this day in 1985, the first AIDS-themed TV movie, An Early Frost, screens in the U.S. on NBC. And in music, back in 1925, Louis Armstrong and his Hot Five began their first recording session. So, and in sports, back in 1946, the New York Knicks' first game at Madison Square Garden was a loss to the Chicago Stags. One of many losses for the New York Knicks. And some famous birthdays happen on November 11th. Is one of the great war commanders of all time, George S. Patton, was born on this day, and one of the great actors of our time, Leonardo DiCaprio, turns 45 today.
There we go.
So there you go.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yep.
All right. So, last segment of the show for this week, and it's so special because we like to have people offended, as you haven't noticed.
This has been a very offensive episode.
It has. So, my garbage person of the week for this week, it's actually two people, but we're going to stick to one. This is because the other one I actually pretty like, because she's an awesome singer, but I don't know why they would do this song. Now, Mr. John Legend. For those who are on my Facebook page, have noticed I posted this nonsense because John Legend decided to take Kelly Clarkson and rewrite a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, decided to rewrite "Baby It's Cold Outside."
Yes.
Now, you really? No, okay. I didn't believe it at first. So, me and the wife were sitting this week, and I'm like, "Listen to this shit." And I played it nice and loud so I can hear the lyrics. And I am not even going to waste my time on the Garbage Person of the Week on the ADG podcast to play this nonsense and tell you the lyrics. I want you to go.
No, you have to share the lyrics, or at least give us a sample of some of the lyrics.
Oh, no. I want you, because I'm offended by changing a classic. We are smoke jumpers. Darren's soundtrack in the back.
so obviously, the original.
And I want our fans to go and listen to "Baby It's Cold Outside." I want you to listen to the original.
We'll post the link on our social media. So
we will. I think we already did. We already did.
But
we're gonna do it again.
But obviously, the one, the original where he's like, "I'll pour you a drink if you stay," or he's just telling her, it's like, hey, it's cold out there, you're gonna freeze.
Let's have a good time and stay in. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Now, obviously, people think that, have a good time, always gonna take advantage of me. No, how do you know that?
Exactly. Did you listen to the new one yet?
I heard like half of it, and then
it's so PC, it's embarrassing.
Oh, it's like with your response, with your, I hope that's okay.
Yeah, no. I want our audience to go and listen to it. Yeah. We're gonna post it up, and we're gonna talk about it again next week before Christmas, because I already put a poll out there on Twitter, and I give you 3 choices for this new song. And the 3 choices where I like it, I don't like it, and what the fuck is this shit? And guess what? 80% of the responses were, "What the fuck is this shit?" And 20% were, "I don't like it." So nobody liked it. No, right. It's not fair to me to describe it, because it's just not what I want to do. I want you to go and listen, or
Right.
listen to the original, and
Mhm.
listen to this nonsense, and tell us what you think. This is our assignment for next week. We want to get interactive with everybody, just like we did for this week's topic for Don Cherry. We're gonna do this next week. We're gonna get interactive with this topic. This is my garbage person of the week. Is John Legend for thinking that this nonsense would be a good idea.
Right.
It's not. It's fucking garbage. So don't
But,
do
like,
this shit. It's like me rewriting a Elvis song, like Return to Sender. Okay, I'm gonna rewrite Suspicious
Seriously,
Minds to
seriously,
make it more current.
I
Get out
was
of your
gonna say,
fucking mind.
out of all the Elvis songs you picked, Return to Sender.
It's a fun song.
Okay.
Like,
But-
I
but-
emailed you,
but-
but you blocked
but
me on
my-
Facebook.
But I DM'd you to Sender. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Exactly.
You don't do
But-
things to classics. You know?
No. But Jake, let's be honest. You could write all the new Christmas songs you want, but everyone's gonna listen to the same old Christmas songs year after year. That's how Mariah Carey gets her money every year.
Yeah, and then fails at the New Year's performance.
Oh,
A couple years ago, I just brought that back.
yes, that's great.
Little bit
No,
of
yeah,
meltdown.
yeah, seriously. Like obviously, and we won't get into it. We'll get into it next week about
Yes.
Christmas music and how two stations for us are playing it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week already. You know, so when it is appropriate to listen to Christmas music, we'll get into that next week. But Jake, great. First off, great garbage person of the week.
Thank you.
You know, so well
Okay.
done. Should we do our live
So our
reaction
trailer.
to
Let's do our
the
live
movie
reaction.
trailer?
Yeah, let's do
Yes.
it. And our movie of the week is
Yes.
called. What was it called again?
Playing with Fire.
Playing with Fire.
As you can tell, we are prepared for this.
We were very prepared, just
Yes,
not
sir.
prepared to tell you right at this moment.
Exactly. So yeah, this movie is starring John Cena.
We see him though. It's
Yeah, we
just-
see him. We see him in this film. He plays a badass firefighter.
All right.
All right. So if you're ready, we can do our trailer.
Yeah, let's do it
All
right now.
All right.
Go.
Okay.
Watch the trailer for Playing with Fire coming at you. now.
Great. He introduces it. Awesome.
Yeah. Just in case you forget what you're watching.
We are Smoke Jumpers, the most elite team of firefighters in the world. We must be at our very best.
I already hate it.
It's interesting.
You ever seen the movie? You ever see Entourage when Vinny Chase plays a movie? He plays a firefighter like John Cena called
Yeah.
Smoke Jumpers. This
Smoke
really
jumpers,
reminds me.
yeah. This is not gonna be smoke jumpers though. This looks like a goof.
Oh God.
Yeah.
You know what this is, Jake? Have you ever seen the movie The Pacifier
Yes.
with Vin Diesel?
Is this his pacifier?
This is his pacifier.
Oh god.
You know,
It's like Mr. Nanny.
before Vin Diesel was big, you know, like
God.
huge and making millions of dollars, he was doing these kinds of film. Pacifier, he was a badass CIA special force
Like
agent.
in a movie where you have a dog running in slow motion as a joke, I can't take this movie about firefighting to be a movie
Yeah.
about firefighting. This is a kid. This looks like a Disney movie. About him handling kids and other
Exactly.
nonsense.
You know, he thinks him, you know, being an elite firefighter can handle 3 kids, and yeah.
Yeah, this looks like even the cast is not serious. It's so
No.
funny.
No.
John Leguizamo, like
Yeah. Keegan
No.
Michael Key. I'm
Yeah.
like, he'll just turn. He won't turn anything down.
yeah, right. Like this is not a serious movie.
No, obviously, I think this is more like a family fun kind of movie you go see.
Oh wow! They brought out the joke with the kid on the fire hose. Wow.
Playing with fire. So there you go.
Yeah, playing with bad jokes. That's what I call this right now.
Oh, and the kid. Fire.
And wow, this is really bad jokes. It's awful.
Don't do it or I'm going to
And they pretend vomit.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay.
Oh,
So we can stop this now. This is
well, what do you expect? A film from Nickelodeon Studios.
that's true.
So,
Man,
so
I wish I could
Fire-
unsee that. This is good. We need to do this more often. I wish I could unsee that.
Yeah, I wish you could unsee that too. I give it a 2 out of 5.
Oh,
You know,
you're the most generous person in the
no,
world.
you know what?
Give it a 1.
We can't be harsh because we have to understand what kind of audience it's for.
No, you're right. But it's
you know?
recycling bad jokes,
Sure.
fart jokes.
Jokes.
Like,
they're recycling a whole movie with just a different cast, just different character. Vin Diesel, you have John Cena. Oh, you're badass Green Beret. You're a firefighter, badass firefighter.
I give it a 1 out of 5
because he took care of Vin Diesel took care of 3 kids. You're taking care of 3 kids.
Yeah, this isn't even gonna be seen when it comes out to Netflix in 6 months. I ain't watching this shit. I get deleted and blocked off my list. I don't need this nonsense.
Already.
But it's John Cena in a movie, and it's not a good
Dude,
movie. The Marine 12.
The Marine 12. The search for more Marines. Yes.
Yeah, that was awful.
So, Jake, just one more movie note before
right.
we wrap things up is that it was announced on Sunday that starting November 21st till November 27th, the movie that I've been waiting to come out, The Irishman, is going to be shown at the Capitol Theater here in Windsor for 7 days. So. Cool. There you go. It'll be a Canadian exclusive before it's shown on Netflix on the 27th. So
I'm gonna watch it on Netflix for sure.
Yeah, but for me,
that's a cool thing to do, though.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and this movie is gonna be big. Obviously, a huge cast, huge director. It's gonna be something. It'll be great to see, and obviously, you know, that movie theater quality, you know, sound and look is always good it's always good, especially to have it, you know, locally in a smaller smaller theater like that. That's great. It's great for people to continue to come down to downtown Windsor and, you know, and for, you know, entertainment instead of like people going to the bars and clubs on the weekends, you know, go see a show.
There you
go.
All righty. So you guys want to check us out? Get controversial, email us, adgpodcast@gmail.com. Give us some responses, whatever you guys think. Let us know. You can find us on Twitter. We share a whole bunch of shit lately. ADG Podcast there. Instagram, ADG Podcast. Check out all the cool pics we share. Facebook for all the news stories we'll be sharing. All the links for everybody. Movies and songs and all the crap will be on our Facebook page, ADG Podcast. We're also on all the podcast apps, every single one. Just search ADG Podcast. And you can find us everywhere else.
There you
good
go.
Stuff. There you go.
Well done.
It was a fun show.
Yeah, it was a good show. Very informative.
Very timely.
Big thanks to Jen, the Star Wars nerd, for coming out on the show and talking with us, getting us all amped up for The Mandalorian, which will be coming out in a few hours. So, yeah. Yeah,
big thanks to everybody who's participated and gave us comments to read on the show. Keep that up. For next week, for all this other nonsense we'll be talking about, and it'll be fun.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, so for the AG Podcast, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Darren.
And we are ADG.